Okay, good morning, everybody. We are convening our Committee on Water and Land. My name is Mark Hashem, I'm the chair. To my left is Tue Mar, I'm the vice chair. Today is Tuesday, March 24th, 2026. It's 9 a.m. in conference room 411 at the state capitol. Before we start, I have to say some ground rules. So, first of all, we have session at 12 o'clock today, so please be cognizant of the time. If we run over time and we don't get through the whole agenda, everything on the agenda dies. So I ask you, please don't read your testimony. Yes, we do know how to read. So paraphrase your testimony and try to sum it up. There's not a hard 2-minute deadline, but after 2 minutes, I'll ask you to please sum up your testimony. For those on Zoom, please keep yourself muted and your video off while waiting to testify, and after waiting for testify, or after your testimony is complete. So the Zoom chat function, none of us can see the chat function. You will be chatting with the tech people over here. So if you're on Zoom, if you're disconnected unexpectedly, you may attempt to rejoin the meeting. If disconnected while presenting testimony, you may be allowed to continue if time permits. Please note the House is not responsible for any bad internet connection on the testifier's end. In the event of network failure, it may be necessary to reschedule the hearing or schedule a meeting for decision making. In that case, an appropriate notice will be posted. Can we do it since today's our last day? Yeah, well, okay. Anyways, we will figure that out. Please avoid using any trademark or copyrighted images if you're using a Zoom background. And please refrain from profanity or uncivil behavior. With that said, we're gonna jump right in. First up, we have SB 2613 SD1 HD1 relating to public school land transfer. First up, we have the Attorney General with comments.
Good morning, Chair Hashem, Vice Chair Morikawa, members, and Periuchi from the Attorney General's Office. As we noted in our testimony, Section
Deputy Superintendent of Operations for the Department of Education. I rise with comments. The bill seeks to amend Act 307, Session Laws of Hawaii 2022 by updating the TMK tax map key numbers to clarify the conveyance process for identified public school properties. However, the department strongly opposes Part 3 of the measure, which was added to the bill from its original, which directs conveyance of school parcels containing 13 public and school library facilities to the Hawaii Public Library System. This goes against the purpose and intent of Act 307, which was to consolidate the land so that the schools could operate more efficiently for the benefit of the students, teachers, and the community. The department already has adequate statutory tools to support co-located library services without the need for a land transfer. Under Hawaii Revised Statutes 302A 1148, the department may issue rights of entries, licenses, and other types of agreements to allow third parties to operate on school properties. And that is important because school properties are sensitive areas with minors, and we have to take into consideration the mission and safety of students and faculty. Whereas third parties who use the campus, like public libraries, are open to the general public and can be located in the middle of a campus. The department recommends that provisions of Part 3, Section 4, which were added, be updated to reflect the following. Strike all references to the conveyance of land from the department to Hawaii Public Library System as grantee, and instead require that the Board of Education mitigate operational issues that may arise under existing statutory and constitutional authority. The Hawaii Public Library System, for example, is governed primarily by HRS 302-1120, and this explicitly states that the BOE control of the public library system, excluding school libraries, through the state librarian. So the library system has control of the operations of the facilities. Thank you for the opportunity to provide comments on this bill, and I'm available for questions.
Okay, thank you very much. Next up, we have Hawaii State Public Library System. Support.
Mallory Fujitani for the Hawaii State Public Library System, in support of my written testimony. Thank you.
Very much. That's all the people that we have registered to testify. Nobody on Zoom. Is there anybody else wishing to testify? Seeing none, members, are there any questions? Representative Iwamoto.
Thank you, Chair, for DOE. So in your testimony, you suggested that the BOE, is it mitigate or referee? What is it?
Yeah, I think those are interchangeable, maybe.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
So I wish we maybe subpoenaed the BOE, somebody from there, because why are they, it's kind of like you're asking the authority above you to then referee your relationship with another entity that's under the same accountability kind of umbrella. Why can't, so the library gave us lots of references or points where there was a lack of communication, where they felt disregarded. Why can the DOE just not on its own just say we're gonna do better? You know, these were the mistakes that were made. This is how we're gonna improve it. Like, why can't you come up with your own corrective action plan? Like, why are we going through all of this?
Well,
Good question.
yeah, I think, well, so I started in September, so there may be history that I'm not privy to, but I did review and talk to folks and see what this relationship was. My most recent relationship with the library system, which I am a member and a great supporter, was with the Keala Library. And that was a new library that was being built on a school campus, and there was a lot of back and forth. And in my opinion, having worked on land projects for the past 20 years, sort of the normal kind of back and forth you would have. We were interested, the school, about how drop-off and pickup was gonna be handled, how folks entering campus was gonna be handled. There was like a silt net that was a couple feet from one of the classrooms, how that noise during construction was gonna be handled. The drainage issues because of the slope, so we just wanted to know how that was gonna be handled. So it's a lot of different elements and issues that had to be discussed. Could it have gone better? We can always improve and do better, and if there's ways to improve, I'd like to know how we can do that from the library system. This addition was done to the bill without any information or prior knowledge to me or the department, so we're sort of responding to it. But I'm open to figuring out how we can better work together. Libraries are an essential part of education. We have both the department and libraries under the Board of Education. We should be working together to provide these necessary improvements for the schools and communities. And again, our only concern here in this bill is with the libraries that are on school properties. There are many libraries off school property, right?
Okay, thank you. Can I ask a question of the library system?
Sure, or shall we go to Representative Shimizu first? Okay, go ahead.
Thank you. Libraries, thank you.
Okay,
Sorry, you had a
Just
question?
sorry. Well, to him, but,
okay, go ahead.
Yeah.
Representative Morikawa,
Sorry.
okay, I just.
since you're up there.
Yeah, I'm wondering about part 2, the Kauai transfer.
Okay,
Is that the parcel that is considered the tennis court?
yes.
Okay, and that's important, to me, that's the important part of this bill, because that has to be transferred, because it always was maintained by the county. And we recently found out it's not on the land. But it says property in its existing condition. Now, I know that you guys have funding, CIP funding, for resurfacing of that court. So is it possible that that court will be resurfaced before, if this bill passes? Or even if it's resurfaced before by you guys, it'll go over
Well,
in that condition?
if it's not, let me look up and get a clear answer for you. But
Yeah.
my understanding is that if it's not school property, we cannot use school funds on it.
It is school property, the funds have been put into
It
the
currently is,
DOE
right, yeah.
budget.
Let me check on that.
So I'm pressing for time because if this occurs, then it becomes county, then the funding is a problem. So I wanna know if you guys can get this done before this transfer is completed.
Yeah, let me check on that. It may be
Okay.
that, they're working on it before.
I hope so.
Yeah.
I haven't, but thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Representative Iwamura.
For the libraries, thank you. So given what the testimony we heard from the Attorney General's office, that there's additional like legal steps involved.
Right.
Is this the solution? Is this bill the solution to?
The ideal thing would be if we could execute some kind of internal MOA or document. And the state librarian has reached out to the superintendent and past superintendents, but it's not the most critical for them, their issues, they have a lot of other issues and we get it. But, it's gotten to the point where, and as Jesse had mentioned, the Kial project kind of took it over the top, which made it very difficult for us. So Jesse said he hasn't been here that long, which is true. So we got the appropriation in like around 2020, 2021. And as you're aware, CIP projects, we have to encumber the funds within 3 years. We had a very difficult time working with the folks at the DOE at the time within the facilities group to get the approvals, to get their buy-in. Every time we met, they wanted us to build them offices for their CAS complex with our library funds. I mean, and it was ongoing during those 3 years. It was very, very difficult. I chased somebody for a little over a year just to get a county permit to get signed. So at risk, well, the reason why we're pursuing now is we have CIP funds at risk. We were getting ready to start and then basically the DOE said, nope, it's our land, you can't start until we execute a ROV, which we could have executed while we were getting the contractor on board. So our construction was delayed by 2 months, which we risked the escalation fees, not the DOE. And then during that course of that project, people that had been had worked at the DOE in the 3 years prior, not everybody, they were all saying, well, they didn't know about it. And we pulled out emails, we said, here's what, we have evidence that somebody at the DOE was aware of the project. There's a lot of people that said they didn't acknowledge that they were aware of the project, even though we had their email, they were copied on all the emails. So it's really been very difficult for us to get someone at DOE to pay attention to our project. And we want to expend the funds within the 3-year period.
Yeah, and you've shared all this with the library committee of the Board of Education?
They're aware that we asked for,
Okay, thank you.
assistance.
Thank you so
Thank you.
Thank you.
Members, any other questions?
Can I ask a question, DOE, please?
Right.
So you're okay with the part of transferring the Wilcox Kauai property?
Yes.
And I just want to establish that. And as far as what has been discussed with the differences and the problems between DOE and the library, as was just shared, trying to establish a MOA or some kind of formal agreement, is that something that we can codify and put into this bill to establish that, and we don't have to transfer property over to the library, because as the Attorney General said, that's gonna be very problematic, yeah. So I don't know if that's even possible, but that's just my thought. Is that something that DOE would consider? So we can establish something that's agreeable to the library and they don't have to go through future problems as was explained?
Sure, I think it's a good idea to have some kind of documented relationship. Even when you're entering into transactions with family, you like to have it documented, so we have a meeting of the minds and that reduces conflict and argument. So yeah, it's a good idea to have an MOA, I agree.
Okay, no further questions. Thank you, Chair.
The library system. My question is pretty straightforward and simple. The Attorney General says that you guys don't have statutory authority, which would you prefer? Cause the last time we had a similar bill to this.
Yeah.
We gave it to DLNR
Right.
versus,
That's probably the more appropriate, in the sense that when, it's reflected in our testimony, in 1981, the public libraries were separated from the DOE. And so at that time, the completion of the administrative process should have been to transfer all of the EOs that we have for the public libraries, the separate ones, to transfer our properties to us through the DLNR. It would have been more appropriate, I think. And I'm not a land use expert, so I would defer to AGs or your legal staff.
oh, so we have the AG here. Can you come up and answer that question? Which would be better if we gave the libraries statutory authority or just gave the property to DLNR and they have like an MOU with DLNR? Both will work.
Well, I think both would work. I think the bill you're referring to is House Bill 2294. And I think that one, there might have been a section that said that for any properties of libraries that are within the TMKs, the title to those sections under the libraries would remain with DLNR. Now, I think that would then mean that, and I'm not a land use expert either, but I think there might be some need to, if DLNR is transferring a portion of a TMK to DOE, but then whatever is the library sitting on, it stays with DLNR, then there might be, some need to document that. But I think when we looked at 2294, having it just remain with DLNR, those library properties, that seem to be legally appropriate because DLNR is authorized to hold title.
Yeah, they're the holding agency for all land for the state, right? Is DLNR here? We can drag you into the conversation. If you're in the room, you get you're
Understood. Hi, good morning.
good morning. So can you answer that question? Are you guys okay with taking title to the land and doing an MOU with the libraries? I'm assuming yes.
I don't think we need to do an MOU with the libraries because
We have the land.
yeah, I mean we would. You guys can hold EO, right?
We
Yeah.
have
So if we yield it to them,
all of
then
the other libraries.
we wouldn't
have
need to do.
EOs.
That's why I was confused. I was like, I don't think I need an agreement. I think we
Okay.
would just EO. But the problem is that if the libraries are within DOE properties, we'd have to either subdivide it out. Yeah, we'd have to subdivide it out.
We're mainly talking about the libraries that are not incorporated within the school.
Oh, the ones that are not incorporated, that's easy. We just EO them over. Yeah, we'd have to go to the board, get the approval for the EO. So we give probably, what are you folks operating under now? How do you guys have permission to like be on the property, I guess? Is it
We
a,
have EOs for all the other standalone.
oh, you have EOs, they have EOs already, so they should be able to.
All right,
I think the question is the ones that are on the school properties is the problem. So if that's the problem, we'd have to subdivide and then,
okay, but we're not talking about those currently, right? This is
We're talking about the 13 on the school property.
Yes.
Oh, we are? Okay.
yeah.
Alright.
DOE doesn't care about the ones off the
Yeah.
property.
I'll just add this, and then maybe to help DLNR, because I don't know either. So we have a Wahiwa Center for Workforce Excellence project. And in that case, the libraries holds the EL for the whole parcel, but it's being redeveloped now. And what, I can't remember who I spoke with, but it was suggested that the EO for the Wahiwa property only is for public library. So the project, which now will include DOE CAS offices and UH Community College classroom space. So it was advised to us that we go to the BLNR to request that we add uses onto our EO.
Correct.
So that may be the pathway for the EOs because we're not asking to take over the whole parcel that the DOE's campus is on. There is one building that's a public and school library. We do also have access to some parking and obviously access to And so if you can designate it by building name or number or whatever, and maybe the EO just says we're adding public library onto the EO, it might resolve some of the problem, because what some of the issues were that we kept confronting various DOE facilities folks was, it's not your property, you're not on the EO, you know, all this kind of stuff. So I don't know what the,
Okay, so here's DLNR's issue with the schools that share the library on the same property. We don't have them anymore. Technically, by law, they've already transferred over to DOE. What this bill is trying to do is clean up the fact that the transfer of law is hard for DOE to do anything. They actually need a quitclaim deed or something of that sort to do the things that they need to do, which is what this bill is supposed to do. Now, if we want to do something for the libraries and the school and somehow split it up that way, I think the land would have to come back to us. We'd have to split it first and then do the separate transfer. Yeah, it gets really complicated like that.
Do you need a bill to do that?
That's what this bill is.
But do you need the bill to
I
send
would
it
need
back
the
to
bill to like
No.
basically not transfer those 13 lands over, or somehow DOE would have to give us back portions. We'd have to figure it out with DOE how we're gonna carve it out. It gets a little bit complicated like that.
Okay,
Deal.
yeah, why don't all three of you?
Jesse, do you have a better idea on how to split this?
So Jesse, going back to your previous comment, I feel like we're parents dealing with siblings, right? The siblings are fighting and we're trying to create an MOU between the two siblings.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
So I think the reason why we're having so much discussion and sort of back and forth is the bill wasn't intended to do this. The bill was actually DOE's bill that we submitted, and it was to simplify what DLNR is talking about and fulfilling what Act 307 is, to transfer those properties more efficiently and identifying the TMKs that may have changed. And in the situation of Kauai, you know, we've been working with the Kauai County, and they were like, okay, yeah, this is better if we do it this way, so we put that in. But otherwise, this adding the library thing is not something that we had thought about, because it wasn't information to us until like 2 hearings ago. And when I look at it, based on my experience as somebody who's practiced solely in land use law for the past 20 years and was a deputy at DLNR, so I have a little bit of knowledge, is that if so the EOs have already, for the school lands, have already come over. Some of those school lands have libraries on them. We look at it as force and effect of law, so it's already with us. The bill clarifies that. If we're gonna carve out in the bill the libraries, then we have to think about, well, do we then send it? So it's not with DLNR anymore, so how does DLNR get involved again? So I think the clearer path forward is for libraries and DOE to work together, like how we should under the statutes and constitution, and under the BOE, which is actually the parent who's supposed to be helping settle this if it rises to a level. I think it's possible. I think we can talk and figure out how to better communicate and work together. But for the 13 libraries that are in the school lands, we are very concerned because it's open to the general public. So that's the general public walking across campus without a visitor ID, going to the library. And so, you know, this kind of discussions and operational issues that we need to talk about during construction, if they're gonna make future improvements. I know libraries don't wanna hear this, but they have to coordinate with us because we have classrooms and stuff are right around. It's right around. If you go to the campus, you'll see this. I was touring Kahuku the other day, high school, looking at damage at the storm. The library is like right there, and it's great, it's not a problem, but it is right there on campus. Classroom, library, kids, general public. So there has to be discussions. If you transfer it in fee, that takes away the ability of the DOE to manage that.
Okay.
I could add, just to clarify, so there's 12 public and school libraries. I'd say a third of them are in the middle of the campus. The rest of them are really on the edge by the roadway. There's a way but this is how it's been for 45 years, is that the public has been going on the school campus to access the library, because it was built as a community library as well as the public library. So I get it, and nowadays it is more dangerous, there's more security issues for the school to deal with. But it has been a recurring issue for 45 years. So, and I think for the most part, our branch managers work well with the principal, whoever is the principal. But we have had numerous issues over the years, depending on who the principal is. Like, for example, you know, they have their own plan, they have their own operations they gotta deal with. So the problem is, there's this, for the most part, they feel that our public and school library, which we have operated and maintained and done improvements for 45 years without really any facility. This is the first time the facilities from DOE has said, we need to approve everything that you do when you expend CIP funds. We've never had that happen. We try to inform the DOE when we have something coming up that we're working on, just so they're aware. It hasn't always been the reverse, as one of our situations in the testimony, as the DOE basically planned to redesign the parking lot so that the front entry to the library was gonna be their new pickup and drop-off area. And we found out the week before they were supposed to start construction. And then they told us it was too late, we couldn't do anything. So
Okay.
I
Great.
think there's a lot of desire from the library side, because we know we have our community members, you know, in close proximity to the kids. And it is, you know, there are issues that we do need to address, but I think there's not enough recognition that the libraries also has its own mission. And we are trying to be, you know, good teammates or siblings.
Yeah.
Okay, I got it.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Alright, thank you. Any other questions? Seeing none, we're gonna move on. Next up, we have
This one's more interesting.
SB 2543 SD 2 HD 1 relating to state construction projects. First up, we have DOE.
Jesse Suki, Deputy Superintendent of Operations, DOE, we stand on our comments.
Okay, thank you. Next, we have DAGS.
Chair, Vice Chair, members, Keith Regan, DAGS, we stand on our written testimony providing support.
EPP is not here. Hawaii Ironworkers Stabilization Fund in support.
Morning, Chair. Mike Gilsu on behalf of the Hawaii Ironworkers Stabilization Fund. We have our written comments. Just wanted to clarify a couple of things. The purpose of this bill wasn't to undermine what DAGS is doing, the work that they're doing, or create an additional bureaucratic layer. The idea really is to kind of look at the projects that are high cost projects or have the potential for cost overruns or significant delays, and sort of spot check. And if you see there's a potential for something to occur where there's a significant cost overrun, then to kind of monitor those more carefully to ensure that you know the state's not wasting millions and millions of dollars. We're open to the amendments that were suggested by DAGS. We're open to, you know, a threshold amount, but we really don't want this to be an additional bureaucratic layer. It's more to kind of make sure that the state doesn't waste a lot of dollars on state construction projects. So happy to answer any questions if there are any.
Thank you. We also have another person from Hawaii Ironworkers. Do you wanna go up and testify or?
No, Chair, Mr. Paris wasn't able to attend the meeting, but he will stand on his written testimony in strong support of the bill.
Okay, thank you. We have, is Milton Ita here? Okay, go ahead, Mr. Ita.
Good morning, I'm Milton Ito. I'm a retired construction engineer. I oppose this bill because I think the construction manager will not be able to achieve the things that the trade unions wants, you know, a better construction project. The bill, as written, has a limited scope of responsibility to only have a design review process and assignment of an inspector. Those are very small parts of the construction process, so I can't see that being a big factor in getting a better project. And DAGS will have very difficult very difficult time finding personnel to stand up this organization, this new organization. And it's some of the other testimonies has the same concern. DPP, DAGS has said that, DOE has said that. So, okay, I have some suggestions on how to improve the process. Training is one of them. I worked at DAG's construction management program, construction management branch for 5 years. And I just came from their office today, and that'll be 15 years ago. And they said they have had no training for the personnel in that office in the 15 years since I started working there. And they need training, they really do. I would say decentralized authority in that office. There's a contracting officer that is a kind of a sticking point for all things getting through the office. That person is the contracting officer, signs all modifications and change orders, signs all the payment requests. So if they can have more people in the office that can do that, it'll speed up the process. Also have the engineers make engineering decisions on construction matters, because right now they're passing all the construction problems to the design engineer. Takes time, the design engineer looks at it, comes up with a solution, then it gets back to the engineer at DAGS, and they have to write a modification or issue the change to the contractor. Takes time. If they can do that right there at DAGS, it'll speed up the process by 2 or 3 months, I would say. Okay, I've suggested the controller, I had a talk with him at the last committee hearing that we had. And I told him to kind of reach out to the Corps of Engineers, because I worked for the Corps of Engineers for 25 years. I learned most of my construction management from them. And I think they can help in identifying what they can do. I also told him that the Corps of Engineers offers training in technical and other items like procurement, like contract law. And they're in my written testimony, I have links to that website that lists all the training that's available for 2026. And the state is welcome to participate in that. The Corps welcomes all federal, state, and local governments to participate in that. The Learning Center, I was a certified instructor at the Learning Center. I taught contractor quality control. I taught the contractors what they need to do to have a good quality project. So I would suggest that we change this bill to allot funds so DAGS, DOT, DOE, all of the departments that do construction management, that they have the proper amount of funds to train their people properly. Thank you for listening to my testimony.
Thank you very much. Do you want to run this department that we're trying to? I said, you're probably the most qualified person to run the department that we're trying to head up.
Thank you.
And I read your testimony and it's very
If you
extensive.
read my testimony, you'll see my story.
Yes, I did. Yeah.
Thank
So
you.
you have the perfect resume. And the guy to talk to is sitting right
I
next
hate
to
to
you.
say that. I think what you said.
Huh? Oh, no, the guy to talk to about running the department is sitting to your right.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, we need to move on. That was-
Okay, nice. Thank you.
We can call you back up for questions. That's all the people, anybody else in person wishing to testify?
Good morning, Mr. Chair, Vice Chair, and committee members. My name is Cliff LeBoy. I'm with the Iron Workers Stabilization Fund. I'm here today on behalf of the Hawaii Building Construction Trade Council, representing 17 trade unions 34,500 construction members. I can go on and read the list of all the trades that we're talking about, but we're talking about a lot of people out there. We strongly support this bill. We met with Keith at DAGS. We look at the components of the bill. And basically, this bill is put together to fix the existing problem. We just heard testimony from the previous people talking about issues that's 45 years old. We running rules and regs on projects out there that's more than 45 years old. See, the problem is we need to stop the bleeding. What we looked at, we compiled a list of what we call wasteful spending in construction. We have over $600 million right here in the last few years. All the projects listed that went over cost, overrun, based on not having the proper people watching the project once the project was put in place. We met with DAGS. We figured out a way to try and fix the problem. It's gonna be a pilot program. We suggest that we do it and give it a shot. Right now, if we don't do that, we'll be standing in line with the rest of these people, trying to figure something out that's 45 years old. So as of February this year, there's another $68 million of construction overrun projects added to that 600 million already. So it's something that's just bleeding us. Iron workers got involved in this because for the last 2 years, we was trying to put tax bills out there that would help the people that really need the money. We were constantly told, no money, no money. So we decided to look at the state and see why there's no money, where's the money's going. We're not here to pick trouble with DAGS and Keith's operation, but when we looked at that operation, hundreds of millions of dollars going out the window. So when we looked at it, the problem is simple. You guys pass the bills to get them the money, you turn them over to the department, they give them to the developer. They got people out there supposed to be watching the projects, making sure that there's no real change orders and all of that going on. What Mr. Nita said is very true. Nobody's watching the project. So before you know it, you give these guys a design build contract. It's like giving them an open checkbook. They'll come back and they'll say, oh, we gotta turn 300 yards this way. Here's the deal, here's the money. You stuck, you gotta go with it. Before you know it, you $600 million in the hole that we could have used that money for people who really need it. So that's why we're here looking into these issues. This issue needs to be fixed. We got a concept, we got an idea, we got a pilot. We urge you guys to try it out. It's a 5-year deal. If it doesn't work, we tweak it and we keep moving forward. Or we go back and still run a system that's 50, 60 years old and not working.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your time.
Anybody else wishing to testify?
Good morning, Chair, Vice Chair, and members of the committee. My name is Dwayne Bautista and I work for the Ironworkers Stabilization Fund, but today my testimony is gonna be as an individual, as a citizen. I strongly support Senate Bill 2543 SD2 HD1. I urge the committee or your committee to pass the bill. Thank you.
Anybody else wishing to testify? We have nobody on Zoom. Members, are there any questions? Representative Iwamoto.
Thank you for DAGS. So this bill is asking for 90 full-time employees to be positioned throughout various county governments, permitting offices. And we heard testimony that it sounds like potentially some of the bottlenecking occurs during some level of middle management. In some degree, I mean, it just feels like, dealing with personalities in each and every office feels like just putting more bodies into it. Is it gonna resolve? Is it gonna get the flow of work executed? Is it gonna get more oversight, more safeguarding of the public funds? Will it really have that impact? I mean, is there really gonna be the impact, or is it just more people who as a resource are gonna be potentially mismanaged and a wasted resource?
Thanks for the question. I'm gonna carve it up a little bit because I think we're talking about multiple things but similar.
Okay.
When we talk about the resources that would be provided to the counties, the 4 respective counties, we're talking about funds that could be utilized, will be utilized to hire employees that would specifically work on state permits and only state permits. Right now, the way that that process works is when we submit a request, a permit request to the counties, it ends up on a pile. And typically, it's at the top of the pile or it's at the bottom of the pile. Wherever it is, wherever they start from, it's at the bottom, right? So we're just like everybody else in the pile of permits to be processed. That takes time, time that's wasted, time that, costs money for the state. And so the idea here is to provide the resources to the respective counties to have specific employees within their system that will only process state permits. So that's part of the request. The 90 positions that we referenced, that's for a full-blown program, state construction manager program that would take into account all the permits, the 1,200 plus permits that we were talking about in some previous testimony that we gave about this process. In order to process that kind of amount of permits, we would need those number of bodies in order to track and provide the resources. But what we've offered is, and what we have suggested in our testimony is to limit the number of positions to 90. Not say give us 90, but the maximum number would be 90. And then set a threshold so that the projects that we're looking at, rather than everything, is projects with design values of $2 million or more. That takes it down from 1,200 to about 300 projects. So that makes it a lot more manageable for this attempt to address concerns to be successful.
So Chair, can I ask a follow-up question?
Anybody else with questions? Seeing none, go ahead.
So can you so we have to deal with people saying to us, you're putting, well, number one, it feels like we're allocating more state taxpayer revenue to help the counties do what they're supposed to be doing. That they should be hiring sufficient workers, that they should be raising property taxes if that's one of their main revenue sources. It feels like we keep giving them more money, and then we actually, what happens then is that then we feel like we should be controlling counties more. So it's this vicious cycle, and then they become more dependent. And then they're like, oh, well, if you want anything done, then give us more money. We're not gonna raise taxes on property owners or even empty homes taxes. It's just this weird cycle that's quite dysfunctional. So how do we explain it to our constituents that we're using taxpayer monies, we're taxing income on working people to then pay for services that should be paid for by landowners? Do you see where for me, that's the conundrum.
Yeah, I understand where you're coming from, and as a recovering county employee myself, I can say that there were many times when I was on that side of the fence where I wished we had more resources to be able to throw at issues that we were trying to solve. And the permitting process for the 12 years that I was at the County of Maui has always been the biggest challenge that we've tried to address and work through. And it boils down to people and process. People, process, and technology, quite frankly. And when you're sitting before the county council and you're asking them to support your budget request because you need more people, they're trying to navigate their own challenges, right, and how to divvy up their funding. The permitting process we've identified as one of the biggest sticking points for the state in terms of delays of getting projects to move forward. That, there's no question about it. Whether it's the city or the county, any of the counties, that permitting process can take 6 to 12, 18 months at times. So that costs us money. That's real money that's tied up. Because if you're in the planning or the design process and now you've submitted your plans to the county for them to go through the permitting, you can't you know, you're also trying to bid that project out and get that construction company prepared to move forward on that project. And while they're waiting to start working, it's costing the state money. So there's money that's wasted there in that time that's being utilized for the counties to go through the permitting approval process.
And can you remind me of the amount of money this bill is seeking?
We're asking, in this, we're proposing about 12.5 million. And the reason for that is we anticipate that we're gonna need monies to be able to set up the office. We don't have existing state office space that we could put this new construction management office into. So we're gonna have to find external privately leased space somewhere. We need furniture and equipment. We're gonna need to be able to hire employees. And about 2.5 million, 2 million of that is gonna be used to provide support to the counties.
So that's 12 million a year.
No, not a year. No, no,
Five-year
no.
pilot program?
No. Just that's for the first fiscal year, we're gonna need that amount of money. And then it'll just be support monies for the positions after that.
Sorry, do you have more questions?
That's it, thanks.
That's it? No,
I mean,
I was gonna, never mind.
no, go ahead, go
I have
ahead.
a question.
Okay, go ahead.
Thank you, Chair.
I gotta use the
Chair. Question to Dags.
Yes.
Okay. Coming from construction and engineering, I have a little bit of understanding of the process, and I understand what construction is trying to do. You know, in the perfect world, in ideal situation, that's a great idea. I may not agree with it fully because of the limitations of government and that I'm discovering. So if we were to take that concept and take what Milton, Nita highlighted, we pretty much know what the problems are, where the choke points are. And if we were to address that specifically internally with more funding, instead of creating this whole layer of bureaucracy, for lack of a better term, excuse me, Mr. Iosia, but I think that's more efficient because obviously, as they pointed out, there is a lot of inefficiency. I mean, not to throw anybody under the bus, but there are, let me rephrase it, there's ways that we can improve it and realize a lot better efficiencies and monies. So how do we translate that idea to what you're doing internally? What would you need? Because that's, to me, that's an option versus what they're saying. And I wanna put you in the spot to say, what would you prefer? Would you want this new totally new layer of office management that's gonna oversee you? I mean, you bring up the point with the permits and, you know, that's something that we need to address specifically, but overall.
Let me just say this, and thank you for the question. We're trying to find ways to do things differently. This bill proposes exactly that. It's an opportunity for us to try a pilot project to see if it works. If it doesn't work, pull the plug. We move on and we try something different. Now, that's not to say that what's contained within this bill would prohibit us from doing things like what Milton was suggesting earlier about training. Should we divert and use some of those monies for training? I think definitely. Do we support training? Absolutely. Do we provide training to our employees? I just wanna be very clear, we do provide training to our employees. It may not be specifically on construction inspection, as what Milton was kind of sharing a little bit earlier. And I think it's a great idea. He and I spoke, we were outside after the last hearing on this matter, and I agreed with him that US Army Corps of Engineers is an excellent resource and we should pursue that. And we will. We will for our employees. But I think you can do multiple things at the same time. Because we're still gonna have building construction inspectors that are gonna need the training, that are not necessarily within this particular office, right? But if we don't try something, how are we gonna ever know if we're able to make improvements? We have to make attempts. And whether it's this exactly the way it is, or whether it's scaled back because the committee decides to scale it back, but please help us do something. I think that's what we're asking for in this bill.
Follow-up question, Chair?
Right.
So, okay, what I'm hearing is you support this, because when I read your testimony, it almost sounded like you didn't support it because of the problem of hiring 90 people for a 5-year term. And, you know, if we approve this bill, we give you the money, now you gotta start it up and you have 5 years to accomplish the goal. So you know, we know it's gonna take some time to get it where you want it to be. So do you have a plan, an implementation plan of how you can incrementally realize the most efficient effect of this new system?
Yeah.
Because if you wait till it's 100% before you start getting returns, it's not gonna be as effective as you have an incremental plan, phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, where you're kind of like phasing it in and targeting what needs to be done. So do you have like an incremental plan of how to implement this?
I don't have an incremental plan that's, you know, codified in a piece like a document. But what I will tell you is this, that we have staff through our Public Works Division that have decades, centuries of experience combined that do this day in and day out. They do this kind of work.
We're with problems. We have the problems and the staff is there.
And they're expert staff,
Yeah, we're gonna take time to figure this out, so how much time is that gonna be?
but they're also stretched.
Yeah,
So by providing them these resources, I think it alleviates some of that pressure.
okay. Thank you,
Any
thank you, Chair.
members, any other questions?
Thank you.
I have a question.
Thank you.
Did you have a question?
No, I just wanted,
Yeah, to acknowledge the stabilization of ironworkers.
Who's asking the question or who's calling them up?
you can ask,
Okay, yes, please.
cause I'm curious too.
Yeah, right. I know,
But we need to
I
hurry.
know, we do need to.
Chair, I apologize, but I have another hearing that I need to run to for
You're good.
our risk management. Am I okay to be excused?
Yes, thank you.
I got your
Go
back.
ahead, yeah. We'll call you up from the other room.
Okay, I'll be back.
Got your back. Go.
Sorry.
My apologies.
Yes, thank you.
Basically, to answer his question, how much time? I think realistically, a year to put all this thing together, and then you give them 5 years to run the program would be the ideal thing to do, the smart thing to do. Yeah? We can look at it two ways. $12 million a year, 5 years, $60 million, you gonna spend, or you gonna spend $500 million within the next 2.5 years would double. I can guarantee you guys that gonna double, because we keep giving out bad contracts, design build contracts. The more design build contracts you get, forget it. You're giving the guy one blank checkbook, they're gonna take whatever they can take legally. You cannot control that. We looking at something that if the thing is put together the proper way, we're gonna have control of all your construction projects. We're gonna save millions, hundreds of millions of dollars. It'll be crazy not to try it. But to answer your question, Mr. Sumizu, I think 1 year would be sufficient to give him time to get the plan in writing, throw him on the wall, tweak it as much as he can, and 5 years to make it work. That's realistic. So, any other questions? We need to do this.
I have a question for Mike.
Mike?
Yeah.
Go ahead, man. Mike, you got my back.
Thank you, Chair.
So Mike, hate to ask this question because we're pressed on time, but for affordable housing projects, the limited partner hires, well, what the investor hires a construction manager and it's paid by the general partner. So in other words, can the state do a similar thing like that?
Yeah, I don't see why not. I
Right,
don't see.
so the state will hire or set up something and it's paid for by the contractor.
That's what we would actually suggest, is that the cost be passed on to the contractor to fund it. Ultimately, the state's gonna pay it because it's part of the overall contract, but the upfront cost would be paid by the contractor.
Okay, thank you. Yeah.
You know,
Oh, you gotta go over there because the mic doesn't catch over there.
2 minutes.
something like this is so big and so, it's a major undertaking. There's a lot of things that needs to be figured out, settled, that we can probably answer every one of your questions once time is given to go ahead, work on it. I guarantee we can answer all your questions, all your concerns. And just keep in mind, we're doing this to save money. We're not doing this to favor any one union or any one organization or the city. On the city side alone, right now, it's chaos, it's very chaos over there. They get everybody going to them asking for a permit. Just imagine if we had our own group of people in the city DPP office working on only state permits, how fast your job's gonna be going. You can save millions of dollars. Thank you very much. You have a good day.
Members, any other questions? Seeing none? We're gonna move on. Next up, we have SB 2398 relating to residential housing utilities. Okay, first up, I need to change. Department of Board of Water Supply.
Good morning, Chair and members, Ernie Lau, Board of Water Supply. I just also have somebody with me, Joyce Lay is an engineer from the manager's office, and she's actually worked in this area for many years. So respectfully, we have to strongly oppose this measure as it's written. We support the goals of transparency and predictability in residential permitting, but the language of this bill raises some concerns on our part, especially because it's gonna create an unreasonable burden that would require substantial staff time and resources to actually implement. So when I've been in discussions with the chair of the housing committee, a number of discussions, but when we start to look very closely at what it would take to actually comply with the law if it was passed, we'd like to share our analysis with you today. We already provide water availability assessments or inquiries or responses free of charge to any of our customers, from a large developer like the Avalon Development Corporation to a small homeowner that's all they have to do is actually submit to an inquiry to the manager's office, and it's submitted to me because I wanna track how it moves through our organization so that it gets out in a timely way. I've seen actually inquiries come in handwritten in pencil on a piece of paper, asking about, is water available, this is what I wanna do, this is my address, and we respond with a formal letter. We task our engineers actually to do the analysis of the availability of water. But it's really free of cost and available right now to our customers. I'm gonna ask Joyce to share some facts about the burden this would create on the Board of Water Supply. Joyce?
Thank you. Good morning, Chair and members. I'm Joyce Lay. So as is right now with water availability assessments, we look at multiple of things to assess our water system to make sure that we can accommodate these new developments without compromising existing users. And so when we took a look at the bill on implementations, the bill requests that we provide a generalized map showing statuses of water availability across the island for residential properties, up from 1 to 4 units. And when we look at 1 to 4 units, that means we have to run 4 different scenarios with different water demands. And currently at the Board of Water Supply, we took a look at the number of water meters that we serve to just single-family homes. And we came up with 145,000 residentially zoned parcels. And this doesn't include parcels or zones that that are not residentially zoned but can still get residential development. So for apartment zoned lands or mixed use lands, those can still develop residential units. So with 145,000 residential parcels, we assume that there's no limitations on our water system to provide water to these parcels. And we condensed it to say we need 1 hour to make the assessment, running 1 to 4 units on these parcels. And using the just a quick summary, and it's also provided in our testimony, 145,000 parcels, 1 hour to do the assessment per parcel. Assuming we have an engineer that does this every day, 8 hours a day, 247 work days within the year minus holidays and weekends, it's gonna take about 73.4 years to just do all of that.
Can you sum up your testimony?
So yeah, so we don't have 73 years to do the full assessment. So it would be unreasonable for us to even just implement this first round of assessments, and the bill also asks us to update this annually, so as is right now, it's not something we can implement. Thank you.
Next up, we have online, opposition, we also have NIMBY and support, are you here? No. And Avalon Development and support. That's all the testimony that we have in front of us. Is there anybody else wishing to testify? Members, are there any questions? Seeing none, Ernie, I got a quick question. So how can we make this bill palatable to you? Can we, instead of doing individual parcels, can you do by zone? Like areas? I was thinking you'd make green, yellow, and red, so that way people can kinda.
So that becomes really difficult, and I'll ask Joyce to come up to because the water availability also depends on what is being proposed to be developed on at that location, on that parcel. Whether it be a home or Bill 5 or Bill 7 projects in the city where you can do on a residentially zoned parcel, you can do maybe a 24 unit apartment building.
I see. So what about if you just do like availability? Like on a scale, if there's excess water available, there'll be, like if there's a lot of availability, you could make it green, and medium would be yellow. And then each person, if they have
Yeah, I think I understand what you're saying. You kind
you
of
could do, let's say Manoa, if there's a lot of volume there, capacity there, you could just say, okay, Manoa's green.
it would have to be caveated with, it depends. Because it depends on what you're proposed, the exact location, the size of the pipes on that particular street where it's at. It
comes down to
it really comes down to engineering analysis.
It also
And I'm sorry, go ahead.
It also depends on the elevation on where they receive the water service as well. And depending on what that elevation is, what the size of the main is, and how much demand is being proposed, we have to do those assessment individually.
So if I could suggest that, maybe I think our process, which is already on our website, where anybody can write in or email us an inquiry, a question about their location. We need some basic information, and that's attached to our testimony to do the analysis. Then maybe we can look at making that process even easier for our customers to do that. For a large developer, we ask them to actually submit design plans because we don't know what they want to do on their parcel, and the details of their project will drive the infrastructure requirements, either for fire protection, for flow rates, number of units in the building. So it really gets kind of complicated. It's difficult to kind of simplify it and have it still provide some value to our customers.
I've been through your process, so I understand what you're referring to, right? Okay. Good. Members, any other questions? Seeing none, thank you very much. We're moving on. Next up, we have SB 2046, SD2 HD1 relating to underground storage tanks. First up, we have Department of Health. Comments?
Good morning, Chair, Vice Chair, members of the committee, Lene Ichinotsubo with the Department of Health, Solid and Hazardous Waste Branch. The department stands on our written testimony offering comments with strong reservations. Provide you with some following summary. In reviewing this measure, we find that this measure is not necessary as the department has already the required authority. For example, the UST regulations already requires owner and operators to clean up confirmed releases to the extent and manner that is protective of human health and the environment. In the case of total petroleum hydrocarbons middle distillate range, where jet fuel falls, the standard analytical method reporting limit is very close and often above the current cleanup levels. Thus, to discern what the TPH actually means and lower levels requires forensic testing to confirm what is being detected. So our regulations already are at the best practicable level. In addition, regarding to the creation of rebuttable presumption as referenced in previous versions of the measure, the UST regulations already place the burden upon the owners and operators of UST systems to first investigate suspected releases, take steps necessary to confirm a release, and remediate the contamination from that release. It's essentially a process that is functionally equivalent to a rebuttable presumption. Therefore, the department respectfully asks that the measure be held, as it does not add to the overall effectiveness of the UST laws and regulations, the same authority that had allowed us to issue the order to defuel and close Red Hill tanks in the first place. Thank you for the opportunity.
Okay, thank you very much. Next up, we have Office of Hawaiian Affairs. Next, we have Board of Water. Oh, okay.
No worries. Aloha kakahiaka, Iniloa Borland with the Office of Hawaiian Affairs. We stand on our written comments. We are just concerned by previous amendments made to this bill, including the removal of language that required the cleanup and removal of jet fuel to levels below the detection limits of the best and most sensitive technology and methods available with the goal of complete remediation, as well as the removal of rebuttable presumption. Surrendering a commitment to restore our precious irreplaceable vai is an unacceptable compromise that shirks the state's duty to protect vai as a public trust resource and uphold the principles of malama aina that reflects our kuleana to our future generations. Mahalo.
Thank you. Next, we have, that's all the people that we have registered to testify. Oh, Board of Water Supply, sorry.
Thank you, Chair. For the sake of time, we stand in strong support of actually returning the bill to its original version and not this HD1 version. We oppose the HD1, but we recommend going back to the original version of the bill. And I totally agree with what OHA has provided to. And,
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Is there anybody else in the room wishing to testify? That's all we have. Do we have anybody on Zoom? Nobody on Zoom? Members, are there any questions? Seeing none? Wow, we are moving on.
Can I ask a question, Chair? One quick question.
Representative Shimizu?
I'm sorry, I didn't get to check, what is HD1 that you're in opposition to?
The bill that is actually before you for decision making today is SB 2046 SD2 HD1, and it brings in the it removes the rebuttable presumption requirement, and it brings in the term most practicable into the bill, and we're concerned that most practicable, as much as practical isn't going to assure us that the contaminants are removed to the lowest possible level that's detectable. Thank you.
You know what, I have a question. Department of Health. Yeah, most practicable, I don't understand that. What if we just change that to EPA standard?
So we are, in our regulations, we already have cleanup standards in there. And so the example that I provided with regards to total petroleum hydrocarbons in the middle distillate range, the cleanup levels is at, it's actually very close to what the standard analytical method reporting limit is. And so to really discern the measurements at very low levels, we already recommending in guidance to go down to doing forensics testing. And so by doing that, we're already at best as practicable. We can't require anything lower realistically. And so it's already embedded in our regulations as it stands.
Okay. I get it. Alright. I don't quite understand it, sorry, but go ahead. Yeah, that's all my questions. We're gonna move on. Anybody else? Seeing none? Okay, next up, we have SB 2880 relating, 2800 SD1 HD1 relating to irrigation system. First up, we have DLNR.
We stand on our written testimony.
Okay, thank you. Next, we have ADC.
Stand on a written testimony and support.
Next, we have Department of Ag.
Bryan County Department of Agriculture, department stands on its written testimony and support. Thank you.
Next, we have Hawaii Farm Bureau.
Morning, Chair, Vice Chair, members of the committee. Brian Miyamoto here on behalf of the Hawaii Farm Bureau will stand on a written testimony in support.
And we also have Larry Jeffs in support and Land Use Research Foundation in support. That's all the people that we have registered to testify. Nobody on Zoom. Is there anybody else wishing to testify? Seeing none, members, are there any questions?
Just a quick question thank you, Chair, for DLNR. Would this authority have any impact on Lake Wilson or the Dole Reservoir? Would it kind of move you into acquiring that?
Yes, it will help. It'll help all three of our agencies.
Great,
Yeah.
thank you.
Representative Shizu, any questions?
DLNR, please. Sorry.
No.
Thank you, Chair. I'm just curious and hope you can answer the question, but when I see the money distribution,
Mhm.
65 million for DAB, 14 million for DLNR, and 350 million for the ADC, I guess the scope is
Small for us.
proportional and it's proportional to the amount of money that's distributed.
So DLNR, right, so the bill is written very generally on purpose, right? It's to cover, whoever needs help. DLNR is not in the business of owning and maintaining dams and irrigation systems. We pair up with DAB and ADC, most of the time mostly ADC now, and we're transferring properties over to them. So it is correct that proportionally they would receive more money. We do need a little bit to help maintain and keep those running until we can transfer.
Sorry, follow-up question. Would the DLNR have like a list of the three entities and the monies that would be itemized for various projects?
Do not have those for DAB and ADC, but I would have cost estimates for some of the DLNR. Well, the DLNR really only has one that we would be looking at maintaining and keeping, which is a Pu'ulua Reservoir in Kauai, because it serves as a recreational. Right now, we're in the process of transferring East Kauai over to ADC. We have a couple other ones still in flux, but again, right, we would just leave those as is long as there's no hazards to public health and safety.
Chair, can we get a list from the
Yeah, you can we don't need the committee, you can just request it on your own. Okay, so moving on. Next up, we have SB 2818 SD2. What's this? Relating to voting. First up, we have Attorney General in support.
And good morning, Chair, Vice Chair, members of the committee. Elise Oyama from the Department of the Attorney General. As provided in our testimony, we stand in support of this measure, which will just help to clarify the penalty related to certain voting provisions. This is in the HRS as well as the Hawaii Administrative Rules. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, we have DLNR in support.
Department stands on its written testimony and support. Thank you.
Okay, next we have Maui Chamber of Commerce in opposition. And we have Activities Attraction Association of Hawaii in opposition. That's all the people that we have registered to testify on Zoom. Is there anybody else wishing to testify? Members, are there any questions?
I have a question.
Oh, thank you very much. Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
I guess you're increasing penalties on this, and from the list that's provided, I just have a basic question. Why would unauthorized camping carry the same 30-day imprisonment exposure as operating a vessel under the influence. They don't seem to be equal in that respect. So my concern is that that's an example of the concern being the increased harshness of the penalties and whether that's appropriate for the public.
Thank you for your question. So Megan Stats, I'm the administrator for the boating division. I'm gonna pass this over to our acting administrator, Todd Tashima. Assistant, excuse me. Sorry.
So, Todd Tashima for Dilbor. So I may ask the AG to help clarify this, but our understanding is that Dulcare, our enforcement division, had asked for that to be part of that list because it has to be an arrestable offense, and if there are no criminal penalties tied to it, they cannot remove somebody from state property. I'm not sure if the AG has anything different, so.
Okay, I think I got it. Thank you, Chair. Thank you,
Thank you.
So, okay, sorry, just to clarify, the language on page 2, starting on line 13, it says the following shall be guilty of a petty misdemeanor and shall be fined. Not, okay, I see, it's not be fined more than $1,000, but shall be imprisoned for not more than 30 days, or both. Shall be fined not more than 1,000, imprisoned for not more than, okay, so it's just a cap, but prison is definitely still part of it.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay.
That's the legalese, the way it's written that way
It's
is
fair.
fine or imprisonment or both.
Okay, but not more than 1,000 and not more than 30 days, but definitely prison,
Possibility.
that's a possibility
That's up
of
to the
prison.
court to decide, yes.
That's, okay. Thank you.
Okay, or shall not, alright.
You see, it's confusing, right?
Yeah.
It's weird.
But that's okay, as long as the AG says it's okay.
Those are just the maximum possible penalties for petty misdemeanors, period. It is for maximums for both.
I defer to you because you're their attorney. So, okay, moving on. Next up, we have SB 2973 relating to fishing. First up, we have Neil Lenore, comment.
Aloha Chair, Vice Chair, members of the committee, Brian Nielsen on behalf of DLNR, we stand on our written testimony, appreciating the intent, providing comments.
Okay. Next up, we have anybody on Zoom? One person on Zoom. Is there anybody else in the room wishing to testify? Seeing none? Who is it? Jaren Levin on Zoom.
Yes. Aloha Chair, Vice Chair, members of the committee. Again, my name is Jared Levitt, and I strongly support SB 2973 to protect our marine environment from the dangers of jug fishing rigs used from shore and in nearshore and offshore waters. A 2020 NOAA study on open ocean shark mortality documents the use of jug line devices in Hawaii's offshore waters and the resulting impacts. When sharks are hooked to jug lines deployed from vessels, they are forced to swim while dragging fishing line attached to a buoyant jug. This leads to exhaustion, severe injury, and slow death. These hazards extend directly into our nearshore environment. Animals that become hooked and entangled in jug rigs, including endangered Hawaiian monk seals, sea turtles, and sharks, are unable to free themselves. This presents a clear risk of death. Beyond that, derelict fishing lines from jug devices pose a persistent hazard. This line remains in our waters and continues to ensnare wildlife and damage coral reefs, directly threatening the survival of both. I respectfully urge this committee to support SB 2973 to protect wildlife and safeguard the health of our ocean ecosystems. Mahalo.
Okay, thank you very much. That's all the people that is registered to testify. Anybody else wishing to testify? Seeing none, members, are there any questions? Seeing none, we are moving on. Next up, we have SB 2367 relating to state voting facilities. First up, we have DLNR.
Department stands on its written testimony and support.
Okay. Next, we have Surf Parking Coalition.
Good morning, Chair Hashem, Vice Chair Murakawa, and members of the board of this committee on water and land. My name is Kate Thompson. I'm a retired nurse, a U.S. Coast Guard boat captain, 50-ton license, and I've sailed in many places around the world. And I've seen a lot of harbors, and I'm also became the director of surfparking.org. And the reason why is because we're trying to protect the 300 of 1,000 parking spots at the Alawai Boat Harbor for several years. We lost 250 spots in 2008 that became paid parking. And although Dover DLNR has said that they were not gonna reduce parking, just 6 months later in a board meeting, they wanted to offer the board to eliminate or reduce in half. So we got involved at this level and also at about privatization, which is this bill right now. And we are opposed to SB 2367. And one of the main reasons is this would move this land use to the board. And what we found with the parking situation where 9,300 cars have been towed from the Alawai in the last 4 years since the board has had responsibility. So before all the parking concession contracts came, were short-term revocable permits, and they were monitored, we think, better through normal bidding process. But since it's moved now, the ledge first refused Act 163 to say that Dover and state harbors could go under city and county for contracts. And then it was reworded in Act 163 that they could. So what happened is they made these parking contracts. And one of the main problems is that the parking contract has software, electronic software on license plates, gives it directly to the tow company. So although the board was told that Secure Parking was gonna be managing these parking spots, they're not actually managing. All they're doing is allowing the tow truck people to tow, even with minor parking violations such as meter overstays. And I'd say about half of the towing is meter overstays and other fine things like that, and half is late night parking, which we don't think has good signage, nor is there restrictive signage on the boat parking. So people are actually paying to park in boater parking because it doesn't say permit only in giant letters, whereas you can see that for even the handicap parking is not well done. There's a bill right now to have state oversight on parking lots to give public access. In Act 100,
Sorry, we're pressed for time. So
DLNR reported that there's a working group about this Alawai, and that is not true. There's no working group, so please research that. We put in a UIPA on this, and there's been no working group, so there is not public thing. But anyway, you'll see all the public and group testimony, and most of it is opposed. Thank you very much, and I'm available for questions.
Thank you. Next up, we have HGA. Are you here?
Chair, Vice Chair, members, Nui Savas for HGEA. We provided written comments on this measure. There's just a couple points that I do wanna make. While we have no objections to the redevelopment of the harbor envisioned by the UH report that's within this bill, we are concerned with the language that will allow the state to lease the remaining portion of the harbor. The harbor is a valuable public or state asset, and it should remain within the state. And also the revenue generated from the harbor should also remain within the state. Furthermore, we do have concerns that this measure may lead to job displacement of our members and also possibly opening the door to privatization of future harbors in the future. It does set a dangerous precedent. If I would answer any questions, thank you.
Thank you very much. Next up, we have UPW.
Hello, Chair, Vice Chair, members, Komakana Kaimala, United Public Workers. We share the same concerns as HGA. We've opposed bills like this for the last several years. Our opposition has not been on the displacement hour workers at UPW. That's because of the very small number of FTEs specifically assigned to the LOI. Our concern comes from the impact that lease agreements like this will have going to the future, potentially for other statewide facilities like it. Happy to answer any questions. Thank you for the opportunity to testify.
Next, we have, is Sam on the, anybody else wishing to testify in person? Is there anybody on Zoom? Nobody on Zoom, so that's all the people that we have registered to testify. Members, are there any questions? Representative Shimizu?
Ms. Thompson? I appreciate your concerns, something is not exactly right. But when I look at this bill and I look at a bigger picture, would you be able to agree that when it's developed in and upgraded and improved, that they could address your concerns and improve that parking situation?
Well, we've been working for at least 4 years and really got nowhere in terms of what kinds of things would prevent it, and they'll have the reasons for that. But the main concern is that, you know, they're doing a lot of these preps, like charging us for the total length of the slip instead of the length of our boat that changed in 2019, increasing price, which we felt the appraisal was bogus because it priced the KHE at the same as the LOI and some other background issues. But the thing is that I think we're gonna have trouble even recruiting somebody if Dobor's gonna still be in charge of them, because I think this is a much bigger picture. And what we found, speaking of parents, you know, you folks are the tough parent and the board is the lenient parent. They don't go deep. They're volunteers, they have 300 pages to read in a day, and so anyway, this is gonna be huge if the LOI is really developed, and we lean towards doing one lot at a time and some other provisions that we outlined.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Representative Iwamoto.
Thank you for your testimonies. It seems like if this bill does move forward, it seems like you would support maybe adding language that prohibits the at a minimum prohibits the towing
Yes, well,
for a expired meter.
Yeah, I think that the trend is to get more data based, and we're saying that they're gonna use a camera card to enforce parking, which is what they've asked the board to do, that there be a citation stage, and even if there's a warning, it's the first financial payment should be a citation.
Right.
And yes, so the main thing is reserving a certain amount for the public that's either free or minor rate, that there are ways to do this. There are many parking lots that have, and many right under DLNR and other divisions have free parking for people that are residents. So there's definitely ways to do it. It's just that the incentive to try to privatize, to get somebody to invest $250 million is trying to make it as easy as possible for whoever might invest that. And certainly we want improvements to the harbor, but we think it should be more like the state giving a boost of marina management rather than doing a long-term lease.
Thank you so much, I appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. So we're moving on. Any questions? No? Next up, we have SB 2907 SD1 HD1 relating to marine affairs. First up, we 2907. We did that one, right? Did we skip something? No? That's correct?
Yeah, you're correct.
Okay. First up, we have Senior Advisor, Office of the Governor. Are you here?
Aloha Chair, Vice Chair, members of the committee. Angie Chapman with the Governor's Office, here on behalf of Will King, Senior Advisor. The Office of the Governor stands on its written testimony and support.
Thank you. Next, we have HTDC.
Good morning, Chair, Vice Chairs, members of the committee. Trung Lam with the Hawaii Technology Development Corporation. We stand on our written testimony. Thank you.
Next we have DLNR.
DLNR will stand on its written testimony.
Next we have ADC. Next we have Department of Ag.
Aloha Chair, Vice Chair, members of the committee.
Okay, next we have Joshua. Okay, Joshua.
Good morning, Chair, Vice Chair, members of the committee. My name is Joshua Baghdadi. I'm a employee of Pacific Impact Zone, working on helping diversify Hawaii's tech innovation economies. I want to testify in strong support of this bill to foster a renewable blue business ecosystem focused on sustainable development. Over the course of my career, I've been exposed to a lot of sustainable marine technologies, and it's convinced me that the blue economy is society's pathway to blue futures, sustainable futures, and renewable futures for us and future generations. I look forward to working with the state to foster a cluster here that continues with
Thank you. Next we have Economic Recovery Corp. In person, no. Namaka Algae Inc., no. Anybody else in the room wishing to testify in person? Seeing none, anybody? On Zoom, Nicholas Alm.
Aloha, Chair, Vice Chairs, and members of the committee. My name is Dr. Nicholas Alm. I am standing on my testimony in strong support of this measure with the following comments. I grew up here and came back to Hawaii after college to develop a technology in the blue economy. And when it came time in my entrepreneurial path to receive support in the blue economy, I had to look to the continent and had to leave Hawaii again to be able to get support because we did not establish an ocean cluster and did not establish the support structures to support local people like me. Please take the time to support this measure and set the structures for people in the future to be able to do what I did not have. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Next we have David Holt on Zoom.
Aloha, members of the committee. I stand by my support for this bill, and I am representing the organization Blue Startups, and we are looking forward to doing a lot of good work in this space and helping us reach our goals here for economic development, diversity, and being a leader here in ocean innovation. Aloha.
Okay, next up we have Noah on Zoom in support.
Aloha, Noah Penelavich from Ohonu, stand in our testimony in strong support of this bill.
Okay, that's all the people that we have registered to testify. Is there anybody else wishing to testify?
Hi, yes, I'm Valerie Harmon. I'm on Zoom. I couldn't make it in person today. May I testify on Zoom?
Sure, go ahead.
Okay, great, thank you. Chair Mark Hansen and Vice Chair Dee Morikawa and members of the committee, Namaka Algae strongly supports SB 2907. I've been working in ocean tech space, specifically in aquaculture in Hawaii for the last 27 years. I've worked for some of our largest aquaculture producers in the state and some of our smaller companies as well, successfully supporting my family here in this space. I've raised 2 children that are born and raised here. The last 2 years, I'm working on a startup company here that will employ at least 10 people and will produce microalgae for use in animal and fish feeds, supporting local food production and food security in our islands. I'm encouraged to see such efforts creating opportunities for our keiki and high quality jobs that are important to our economy. Work diligently in workforce development for algae and aquaculture education in the state with our community colleges, and there's significant progress here. Great community momentum in this area, including the formation of this ocean hui. This is critical path for our state to utilize our ocean resources in a responsible manner. Thank you very much for the opportunity to testify. I stand in strong support of this bill. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. That's all the people that are registered to testify. Anybody else wishing to testify? Go ahead.
I submitted a testimony online.
Sure. State your name and go ahead.
So aloha everyone, my name is Doreen Wong. I submitted a written testimony online and also to be here present. My background, I've been working in the ocean innovation space for the last 6 years. My background's in the climate sustainable and infrastructure. So I've seen how this work has worked across different places across the United States, but also globally and regionally. And right now, Hawaii is in a special place where we built this momentum of work where we really have the setup now to catalyze. And it's really important because we really want to help bring our kama'aina back and to work on really relevant challenges. We already, often when I go to these conferences and events, they often ask, where is Hawaii? Why isn't the blue economy a core focus of the state? And so some of you may already know, we already have the ingredients. We have world-class education system in marine sciences. We have infrastructure like NOHA and Kona. We also have the indigenous knowledge and values to play a critical role. Over the past 8 months, I've been working closely with HTDC to help be a part of this coalition of building with 80 different partners. And so we just need this government seating to really support this initiative and help us to get to where it needs to be today. And the other thing I would also like to add is with the current situation of the severe flooding, and I've been working in this space a very long time, this is helping us to be more proactive instead of just reactive, and so preparing us for the better future. And so I strongly urge you to support SB 2907. Mahalo.
Thank you. Is there anybody else wishing to testify? See none, members, are there any questions? Representative Shimizu?
HTDC. Thank you for being here, thank you for the work you're doing. I just wanted to establish that according to your testimony, this bill still needs to be, according to your testimony, corrected so that the salary is set by your department and not the governor, is that correct?
That is correct. In the previous amendment, they had moved the position and the salary to governor, and then they moved the position back, but they left the salary set at governor.
I just wanted to clarify that, thank you. That's all, thank you, Chair.
Representative Iwamoto?
Thank you, Chair. This is a quick question for HTDC. What is the significance of declaring the state an ocean cluster? What does that open us up to, or to federal money, like?
Correct. So we are the only state in the Pacific that has not declared itself to have an ocean cluster. And there are a lot of bills, not just federal bills, but philanthropic opportunities for funding that's just waiting for Hawaii to say, like, this is something we want to prioritize.
Okay, is there anything in that status, so I'm an environmentalist, I care about not having an extractive, harming our environment. Is there anything with this status that can be flipped and used where where the environmentalists are gonna be upset with me that I supported this bill? Like, is this a doorway to some sinister kind of, funding, what are your?
So the purpose of the bill is to create a task force to ensure that no one entity is in charge of like pushing it towards one way that other organizations may not agree with. I will say for HTDC, when I joined, I added 2 core pieces to what we consider the flywheel of economic development, and it's Native Hawaiian values and reciprocal or just regenerative wealth building. Okay. So it's very important to us, and that's how we're viewing everything we do. That's our lens.
Okay.
So I don't think you will have that concern coming from us.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Good question. Anybody else? Nope, seeing none, we're moving on. Next up, we have, wait a little bit so I can catch up myself.
I'm just
Next up, we have 3067 relating to records. First, we have DAGs in support. And that's it. Members, any questions to nobody? Seeing none, we're moving on. Next up, SB 3053 relating to natural resources. First up, we have DLNR in support.
Department stands on its written testimony in support. Mahalo.
And next, we have Department of Health in support and an individual in support, but they're not here. Seeing that. Okay, members, any questions to DLNR?
I have a quick question for DLNR. Is there any special agreements or coordination that needs to be done with the federal?
So our enforcement division, DoCare at DLNR, has a joint enforcement agreement with NOAA that allows them to enforce federal laws under that agreement.
So you have an agreement in place then?
Yes.
Okay, thank you, Chair.
Okay, next up we have SB 2944 SD1 relating to conservation. First up, we have the LNR. Might as well just stand there.
Yeah, we'll stand on our testimony providing comments.
Okay, I think that's the only person that we have registered to testify. We have like 8 other individuals in support. Is there anybody else wishing to testify? Seeing none, nobody on Zoom? Any questions? Representative Iwamoto?
Thank you. Can I ask you a question? Sorry. So if we're attaching to NOAA, which is a federal agency, what happens if we have a federal administration that's just like really horrible for the environment and then changes some of these rules and regulations and we've already attached to their guidelines? Could that potentially become a problem for us?
Well, first, that could never happen. Just joking.
Okay, moving on.
There is federal laws like the Marine Mammal Protection Act that that prevents states from passing laws that would step on federal laws. But with the Endangered Species Act, there is allowances for states to pass laws that can also protect protected species. So in regards to this bill, I think we could do that with monk seals and turtles. But if you're talking about dolphins, that's where we have the preemption issue with federal laws.
Okay, so you support this because you don't see any danger with attaching or linking it in our statutes?
I think our only concern with this is putting approach distances into rules or laws might be trouble for our enforcement, where we'd rather just use a take. So harassing or harming marine wildlife, I think that gives the officers a little bit more leeway to enforce things. But if it's just like a strict approach distance, that's where like you're snorkeling and a turtle pops up next to you, that's technically a violation versus did you actually harm or harass that turtle? So I think we'd rather stick with the take laws rather than a distance law.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yep.
Thank you. Very good. Next.
Question?
Sure.
DLNR, is there any cost to this bill?
I don't think so, no. It would just, add on to our enforcement officers' duties.
Okay, I have one last question and I want your answer to be short because we're in time, but I just have to ask about Melissa Clark's testimony regarding incident where some apparently DLNR personnel was part of a dog mauling a sea pup or something like that. Do you have any comment on that?
I don't have a comment on that. I read about it in the paper, but I don't have any inside information about it. Yeah.
So you're not aware of that situation?
I'm aware of it from the news, but I'm not in a position to provide any comment on it. Yeah.
Kind of troubles me, that answer, but okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. We're moving on. Next up, we have SB 2074 SD1 HD1 relating to state facilities. First up, we have DBED in support. Next, we have DBED Stadium Authority in support. Mike Yadao.
Thank you so much, Chair and Vice Chair and members of the committee. I promise to be brief. I just wanted to kind of highlight or clarify a couple of things that's already in our testimony. To clarify, DBED did a study on what naming rights typically would cost or would be able to be charged for a facility of that size, serving that audience. And they put that around that 7.2 to 7.4 range. A RELCO study back in 2022 put it significantly lower. They put it at that 1.2 to 1.3 range. Their reason is because naming rights is predominantly for the TV audience. And the fear was that because of the time difference between us and the East Coast, that we wouldn't get the same number of eyeballs on certain events. And so they put it significantly lower. I did not want to put the lower number in the testimony for fear that we'd be negotiating with ourselves come time to do that. I wanted to put the higher number so that we can start from that place when negotiating. Also, Having exterior signage doesn't necessarily mean that the signage would be outside of the district itself. So if you can imagine Aloha Stadium as it currently is, right behind the volcano, and that volcano and John A. Burns bust area is inward facing on the district. But then you could, in theory, you could put exterior signage from the stadium, but still inward facing on the district, so it doesn't disrupt the community at large. We have members from the Stadium Authority, from the community, from Foster Village and from Aiea Halava, that would ensure that we do not disrupt the community in any substantive way. And then lastly, this is not in our testimony, but I do feel it's worth highlighting. We see the Outdoor Circle and other community groups that have been advocating against billboards in Hawaii for over 100 years as partners in this process. We want to highlight the beauty of Hawaii. We want that to be a major selling point in our events, whether they be entertainment or sports oriented. And we really genuinely feel that they're partners, and we understand their mistrust and their feeling of wanting to ban billboards at large. But we do think we can reach a compromise here that highlights the beauty of the site and doesn't take away from who we are as a people. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. Next up, we have retail merchants. Any support?
Yes, Dave Erdman, Retail Merchants of Hawaii. We stand by our testimony.
Okay, next we have Hawaii Regional Council of Carpenters in support. Next we have Pacific PRP. Is there? Am I reading the right one? Yes, I am. Is there anybody on Zoom? Nobody on Zoom? Is there anybody in the room wishing to testify? Okay, go ahead.
Hello, Chair and members of the committee. I'm sorry, I must have not checked that box. I thought I did, but I'm Winston Welch.
I have you on Zoom.
On Zoom, okay,
Okay,
well,
go ahead.
thought I'd come in person, I
You gotta
guess.
go out, you gotta go out there.
So I'm Executive Director of the Outdoor Circle, and it's nice to see you today. I just very briefly want to add some clarifying points, and we certainly appreciate the testimony of Mr. Yadao, the Stadium Authority, and I think it brings up some, some points, but I know recent storms have been on everybody's minds, and a lot of people weren't able to testify here today. So, we're just representing the public's interest here, but we feel that this bill is not about naming rights. It's about exterior facing billboards in public spaces, and that's what this bill actually allows as it's written. It would allow prominent corporate branding on public assets visible from their roadways, which is our primary concern. These are billboards in all but any other name, and Hawaii has deliberately protected us from this for over a century. It's part of our identity, it's our natural beauty, it's our view planes, it's our sense of place that makes us special. We are not opposed to corporate sponsorship. In fact, we as a state have long demonstrated that it's possible to raise funds responsibly while honoring our public views and landscapes. Stan Sheriff Center, which is state property, is a perfect example. It works with sponsors like the Bank of Hawaii while respecting our views and view planes and protected public spaces. So it shows that funding and preservation can go hand in hand. Same approach can be applied to this project, including the stadium. But what's particularly concerning about this bill is that it does override county signage ordinances, which carefully regulate size, placement, color, number of signs, types of sponsors, and visibility from our roadways. So without these protections, we do risk permanently changing our cultural landscape and setting a dangerous precedent for all public facilities, as was a similar bill last year that did propose that for all public facilities. So for generations, Hawaii's people have expressed overwhelming support for keeping our public spaces free from this intrusive sort of advertising. And it's a legacy we feel is really worth honoring. And so we do respectfully ask that you consider the long-term impacts of this bill on our islands, our viewplanes, and our community character. We are happy to work with the Stadium Authority on something else, as was suggested, that interior facing signage on, like where the volcano is. That's a very different story than what this bill purports. So as this bill is written, it's not what that would be. So we thank you for your time and stewardship of our lands, and I'd happy to entertain any questions.
That's all the people that, go ahead, you can sit down. That's all the people that we have registered to testify. Is there anybody else wishing to testify? Seeing none, members, are there any questions? Yeah, go ahead.
For the Stadium Authority, my question's about the exemption for concessions.
Sure.
How would this impact what kind of I guess beverages of food can be purchased?
Where this exemption is coming from is that the stadium itself will be a very different facility than other state or county owned facilities. So for instance, if this were a design build and the state completely owned the stadium itself, then we would go through the normal procurement processes in order to get those kind of concessionaires. But because this is a public-private partnership, we wanna allow for maximum flexibility to our local partners in AHDP to make those kind of choices. They have assured us, and they still have to come to the stadium authority for approval. So we do have some level of control over what kind of concession, and the intent is to go local. That has been a highlight of all of their presentations and their proposals and even some of their contractual negotiations. But they do need the flexibility to make those determinations. Sometimes, for instance, a vendor on concession may come in a little bit higher than someone else, but they're willing to do more things with licensing of cups and different products outside of what they provide in food services. So this is that part of the bill is about flexibility for AHDP.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Other questions? I got a question. Outer four. Actually, it's maybe outer circle. It's actually specifically going off of Representative Iwamoto's. I know that many times the larger national organizations, let's say Starbucks, is able to outbid our local companies, right, for concession stands and whatnot. And that's kind of not problematic, but it's a little bit frustrating because we want to promote more local brands, even though we may not make as much money. So I understand, will this help that process?
You're asking, will this help
Hire
HCP to go to
local-
will this help to hire local?
Local companies versus,
yes, okay.
because you can take the lower bid because it's a local company that has more roots and production here versus the mainland, right? So this will help with that.
So yes, so the intent is to provide maximum flexibility so that AHDP has expressed their intent to hire local and to go with local vendors inside the stadium itself. At the end of the day, these matters have to come before the Stadium Authority Board. A board that I previously sat that has many members of the community on it, that the full intent is to hire local and to get local vendors like the L&Ls of the world into the stadium itself. We believe that allowing this kind of flexibility gives AHDP the opportunity to do that better. They have indicated that they need this flexibility to do that better, and we want them to raise as much revenue as they can, but to do it with local people in mind.
Okay, thank you. Outer circle? Since you guys put that in your testimony, are you guys okay with this? I mean, hearing the authority, right? Cause I know this is a problem. We've heard this before, that the local companies get outbid by the big national firms. And we try to subsidize the local companies as much as possible, but then the state organization, because of our laws, requiring the highest and best bidder, it we're shooting ourselves in the foot.
I think there's a couple of different issues going on here. One, I don't.
Well, my question is, how do we do both? In other words, how do we, go ahead.
I mean, I don't know how you would determine a local company. For example, like Starbucks has, I think it used to be Coffee Partners Hawaii, so I don't know if they count as a local company in that case and how you would differentiate that. But regardless of that, the Outer Circle's position would be, it doesn't matter whether it's Starbucks or the Bank of Hawaii or Marlboro Lights on the exterior of the stadium facing the roadway. That's our primary concern is the visual plane. So it doesn't matter to us which organization or company it would be sponsoring on the outside. As far as the inside goes, that's a different matter for you all to decide, and I don't know how you would determine what's local and what's not. And I think most people would prefer to have local companies there, but how you determine that, is that just registered with DCCA? I don't know.
Okay, any other questions? I have one question. So I'll refer to Seattle, not the Seahawks Stadium, but the Mariners Stadium. They had large pictures of the players the outside, would that constitute a billboard? So when I was there, Ichiro was playing and they had a huge picture of Ichiro to promote the Mariners. I would assume that constitutes a billboard, and without an exemption from the billboard law, the stadium won't be able to do that?
Well, I think the stadium could do that inside of the stadium. Is it designed to draw attention from drivers? Would be a fundamental way to look at it. Are we asking to be distracted by something on the side of the building? And in this case, I would say it's yes. It doesn't matter whether it's Ichiro or Bank of Hawaii or Marlboro Lights Dancing Cigarette. So those sorts of things can be on the inside of the stadium. There's many ways to creatively have revenue. You could sell merchandise, which is expensive. These boxes that they're envisioning can be sold for enormous sums of money. Every person on their cell phone, when they enter, it says, "Oh, Kim Coco, welcome back. We noticed you liked Pepsi last time," right? And so it gives an ad 2-for-1 Pepsis. There's all kinds of ways we can do this without destroying our cherished laws of 100 years. So this is something where we've realized that, you know, the incremental increase in marginal revenue has not been worth the trade-off to protect what is, you know, arguably one of Hawaii's biggest brands, which is that we don't have brands yelling at us, forced consumption, buy me. And I think so we can work with the stadium authority and promote whatever teams or products that they're selling in an appropriate way. And I think, you know, there's goodwill on both sides, but yeah.
I understand. Okay, thank you very much. Members, any other questions? Seeing none, we're gonna move on. Next up, we have SB 2596 relating to government leases. I need to catch up here. First up, we have ELNR. Any comments, the person?
Lauren Osaka with the Land Division. For this bill, we strongly ask you guys to consider either our amendment or striking out the provision that does not allow us to sublease the real property. It affects our funding for the SLDF, and we're one of the very few self-sufficient agencies right now.
Okay, thank you. Next, we have University of Hawaii, the comments. Not here. Next, we have Department of Transportation. Are they on Zoom? On Zoom.
Yes, good morning, Chair, Vice Chair Kurt Otaburo, Deputy Director for Airports. We appreciate, and first Chair, we apologize for the testimony. But as our testimony does state, the Department of Transportation strongly opposes SB 2596 SD1 for those reasons said. The language in there is in direct conflict of our federal grant assurances. As you know, airports and highways depend heavily on federal funds, and so compliance of that would be mandatory for us to continue. We are for the airports specifically, as you know, we're special funded, so we are needing to maximize the revenues that we generate, whether it's in concessions, land leases, and what have you. Happy to answer questions.
Thank you very much. That's all the people that we have registered to testify. Is there anybody else wishing to testify? Seeing none. Members, are there any questions?
Question for
Representative Shimizu, go ahead.
Thank you, Chair. So if we somehow inserted language to exempt and UH and DOT to sublease as necessary, acceptable to you?
To us, yeah, as long as we're allowed to continue to sublease, it would be good, and I believe UH would be good. I'm not sure how DOT though, how that affects theirs. Yeah.
Thank you, Chair.
Any other questions? ELNR, I guess the only person I can ask is the ELNR. The first thing that came to my mind was City Financial Tower. It's owned by the ERS, and it's leased, state departments are leasing up the building. So would this trigger that? I understand where the concept of this bill is coming from.
Yeah, I do too. Yeah, I understand the purpose and the intent.
Yes, cause it makes no sense for one department to be charging another department. And when the funds, we should be providing funds for them through the general funds.
Correct. So I think the problem with this one is really the subleases, because through the subleases, right, that's how we're getting the private entities involved, and that's how we're getting revenues from that, which contributes. So I think that's the crux of it. I think there are other agencies that were given, I think, the ability to lease and maybe, you know, they may be, I don't know, we do EOs or we either do not gratis, so I'm not sure why this
That would be
came
like
up.
you guys charging the libraries, right?
Yeah, which
Conversation.
I mean, yeah, I mean, that's not DLNR's practice anyway, at least when we deal with our land dispositions, we do not charge other state agencies. We'll only charge them for if there's commercial activity on the properties in which we would establish a rent provision that gives us a cut of the revenues generated.
I think there's probably a lot more agencies that have this problem that would get folded into this, and I would like more people to come out and more departments to come out and testify how it's impact that, but there's only 3 departments, so.
Chair, I'm sorry, can I have a follow-up question on DLNR?
Yeah.
You know, my understanding is there is a exemption, HRS 26-5 to 26-21. I thought that was kind of like a carve out for you and other applicable entities.
In 17121. Oh, here, this one. So it says though, if the real property, right, is being used by a department to meet a core responsibility of the department. I mean, unless you're gonna say that my department's core responsibility is to generate funds for the SLDF, I think people might argue that it's not, but you know, I think that's where it's kind of sticky.
Members, any other questions? Seeing none?
I was gonna,
Go ahead.
if you exempt these agencies that are showing up, then if you say, okay, you're exempt from this bill, then others will show up.
Well,
don't you think?
I was thinking if we exempt, or now we're having a conversation, if we exempt these agencies, then nobody's gonna testify. Right? That too. I don't know how it's gonna go, but. Any other questions? See none, we will recess to get quorum. Okay, good morning, everybody. We are reconvening our Committee on Water and Land for decision making. First up, we have, hold on here. Okay, first up, we have SB 2613 SD1 HD1 relating to public school land transfers. So the chair's recommendation is to transfer parcel number 320590002, and that's basically Kaimuki Middle School, to from the city to Department of Education. I'm gonna put that in, and also we're going to, that's one amendment. Next amendment is to give the land for the transfer of the other parcels to DLNR.
It's a library.
Yes, the library parcels will be going to DLNR. And defect date to 7/1/3000, tech amendments as needed. Any comments or concerns? Yes.
Yes, Chair. A lot of what we heard during testimony, and I appreciate the chair's indulgence that it, allowed everyone to say their piece. It does seem like the Board of Education should have been represented in that discussion, and I don't know if you'd be open to putting in the committee report that the Board of Education should be strongly urged or perhaps subpoenaed to testify at the next hearing if it gets a next hearing. To speak about or to speak to the conflict between the Department of Education and the Hawaii State Library.
Okay, good. We will put that into the committee report. Oh, I forgot. We also have to put in the committee report for the next committee to look into funding for this transfer. That's more appropriate for finance to look into that. Okay. Any comments or concerns?
Chair,
Yes.
per that language, I don't think you have to put in an assertion for subpoena. I think you just simply need to ask the board, and I'm sure they'll be happy to weigh in.
We ask.
That's fine. Yes.
We ask them to come. You can call Roy Takumi yourself and tell him to come here. Okay, Vice Chair for the vote.
Okay, we're voting on SB 2613 SD1 HD1. Recommendation to pass with amendments. Chair, Vice Chair vote aye. Rep. Baladi is excused. Rep. Ijama.
Aye.
Rep. Iwamoto.
Yes.
Poi Poi.
Aye.
Rep. Woodson.
Aye.
Rep. Shimizu.
Aye.
Rep. Souza.
Aye.
Recommendation adopted, Chair.
Okay, next up we have SB 2543 SD2 HD1 relating to construction projects. We had a lot of discussion on this. Chair's recommendation is to defect this to 7/1/3000, take the DOE amendments and take amendments from DAGS number 1 to restrict the construction projects to $2 million. Alright, we're gonna take DAGS's amendment number 1, 3, and 4. Any comments or concerns? Yes.
Chair, I was gonna vote no on this bill, but specifically because what we're doing is we're using state taxpayer revenue, which a lot comes from, workers via income tax, and then moving it to do what basically is county functions, when they should be raising their own revenue through taxing empty homes and investment properties. And so I find that to be a hardship on workers. Also, my concern with this one is that if we put these 90 full-time employees to sit alongside county workers who are doing relatively the same thing, but I'm guessing that we're gonna be paying these state workers more money because they're, so it's gonna mean, to me, what I see happening is all of these county workers then quitting their county jobs and taking the state jobs in the same office, and the counties will still be stuck with a high vacancy rate. So But I do appreciate why I'm saying, why I'm gonna support this with reservations is I do appreciate the community coming together with solutions. That I really appreciate, and for that reason, I'm gonna vote with reservations.
Thank you. Chair, Representative Shimizu?
To tell you the truth, I was gonna vote no also, but from the testimony and Dag saying that we need to do something different, and of course the construction industry is strong support, I'm gonna vote with reservations.
Thank you very much. Representative Souza?
Chair, I was gonna vote yes, and I'm still voting yes.
Okay, that's it, okay, next.
No, I just wanted to cite the testimony that we got from the building trades especially, and even the Ironworker Stabilization Fund. You know, this is truly a way to reduce waste, like they mentioned in their testimony, and I do think that this legislation is long overdue, so I'm in strong support.
Thank you. Any other comments or concerns? Seeing none, Vice Chair for the vote.
Voting on SB 2543 SD 2HD1, recommendation to pass with amendments. Noting the excused absence of Beladi, who will be excused for the rest of this agenda, and reservations from Iwamoto and Shimizu. Any other reservations? Any no's? Seeing none, it's adopted.
Okay, thank you very much, members. Next up, we have SB 2398 SD2HD1 relating to residential housing utilities. Chair's recommendation is to pass this out with an HD1. Is it already defected to HD2, sorry. Is it already defected to 713,000?
Yes. Yeah.
Yes. I think the conversation should be continued, and because it's very compelling that the members hear that it'll take 76 years for Department of Board of Water Supply to do this. So I'm gonna pass this, well, you know what, it's already defected. I wanted to do zone by zone, but that's not gonna work either. So I'm just gonna pass this out as an as is, just to keep the conversation going. Yes.
Thank you, Chair. I'll be voting no for the fact that it would take 74 years. You know, and I'm not sure if perhaps the amendment would be, I don't know what the other county water utilities are doing. I mean, the fact that the Oahu Board of Water Supply responds to every request within 2 weeks is really impressive. And so I don't know if this is a problem. I see that the introducer is from the county of Hawaii. I don't know if this is something that needs to be just.
I was told that this is more of a neighbor island issue.
So is there a way to amend the bill to only then put it on them?
Yeah, I didn't get prior concurrence for that, so that's the
I'll
problem.
be voting no, thank you.
Okay.
Chair, I'm gonna be voting no also.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, we're voting on SB 2398 SC 2HD1, recommendation to pass unamended. Any other no's besides Iwamoto and Shimizu? Any reservations? Poi poi, recommendation adopted, Chair.
Okay, this is another one. Okay, next we're moving on to SB 2046 SD2 HD1. Chair's recommendation is to pass this out unamended. I'm sorry to say that I wanted to make changes to the bill or revert back to the original version. I didn't get prior concurrence for that. And that's really more in the purview of the EEP committee, so that's not the purview of water and land. So I will pass this out as an HD1. It already has a defect date, not a HD1. I'll pass this out unamended. It already has a defect date, and hopefully we can work it out as this bill moves on. Any comments or concerns? Seeing none,
Okay,
Vice Chair for the vote.
Voting on SB 2046 SD 2HD1.
I apologize,
Still.
Thank you. I just wanted to disclose that I may have a conflict, I'm not sure. I am a complainant in a lawsuit against the Navy for the storage, the fuel tank leaks But I
complain
think,
it, we all complained about it.
okay. But so I just wanted to disclose that and, but, cause I don't know if this only applies to things, storage tanks leaks moving forward.
Okay.
Cause that is something that happened in the past.
I don't see how you're gonna, yeah,
I just wanted to disclose.
I don't know if you, no conflict.
Thank you.
I forget what I said.
Sorry.
Voting, I think we said that. Are there any reservations? Any no's?
I'll be a reservation.
Reservations, yes, okay. Recommendation adopted, Chair.
Okay, thank you. Next up, we have SB 2800. Chair's recommendation is to pass this out unamended. It already has a defect date and it's pretty straightforward. Any comments or concerns? Unamended, yes. Vice Chair for the vote.
Okay, we're voting on SB 2800 SD1 HD1, recommendation to pass unamended. Are there any reservations?
Reservations.
Shimizu, any other reservations? Okay, recommendation adopted.
Okay, next up we have SB 2818 SD2 relating to voting. Chair's recommendation is to pass this out with an HD1 and do tech amendments and defect date to 7/1/3000. And it's pretty much housekeeping.
Okay.
Any comments or concerns?
Yes, Chair, I'll be voting with reservations, specifically because of the potential prison terms, specifically for people who are camping, which I think is a euphemism for homeless.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, we're voting on SB 2818 SD2, recommendation to pass with amendments. Any other reservations?
Reservations.
Shimizu and Iwamoto. Any no's? Recommendation adopted.
Okay, next up we have SB 2973 SD1 relating to fishing. Chair's recommendation is to pass this out as an HD1. I'm gonna do the same thing that we did with the spearing of uhu. I'm gonna require DAR to start the rulemaking process to regulate and or ban jug line fishing by 7/1/2026. And I'm gonna implement this, the effective date is 7/1/3000. That way this goes through public hearing and through that whole rulemaking process, so the public can chime in. Thank you. Any comments or concerns?
We're voting on SB 2973 SD1, recommendation to pass with amendments. Are there any reservations? Any no's? Recommendation adopted, Chair.
Okay, thank you. Next up, we have SB 2367, relating, SB 2367 SD2 relating to state voting facilities. Chair's recommendation is to pass this out with an HD1, tech amendments if needed, defect date to 7/1/3000. I'm gonna take out the lease expiration language. Is that if they're gonna do, I think 20 years is a little bit too short for people to recruit the. Well, anyways, I'm gonna take out the lease expiration language. I'm gonna say, take the amendments or the comments by Save the Surf testimony to have open public meetings and for DLNR to do a master plan and also look into phase development. So basically, and I'm gonna take out the language where DLNR has to use the UH's plan, so they can take UH's plan or they can come up with a different one. So it's gonna go through the public meeting process and a master plan. Any comments or concerns? Yes.
Sorry, I'm gonna be voting no on this one. There were lots of concerns brought up. The privatization of the harbor, I mean, and that, the unprecedented nature of that. And a list of things, but no, thanks.
Okay. Thank you.
And we're voting on SB 2367 SD2, recommendation to pass with amendments. Any other reservations besides Uemoto? Any no's?
I'm a reservation.
Reservation, by the way, okay. Recommendation adopted.
Okay, next up we have SB 2907 SD1 HD1 relating to marine affairs. Oh wow. This is a task force, so there's a lot of tech amendments that needs to be done. We're gonna add for the governor to appoint, because they left that out on the previous previous draft. Effect date to 7/1/3000. We're gonna take DLNR's comments for the task force shall integrate to the Department of DLNR's ongoing work, so it kind of coincides with what they're already doing, or the same direction. And we're gonna take OHA's amendments. Any comments or concerns?
Chair, the governor to appoint what?
No, so it says the task, so there's what? On page, here, this is HMSO's comments. On page 10, line 17, it says, the Office of Marine Affairs shall appoint the coordinator but does not state who the appointing authority is, right? So it doesn't state who's gonna appoint the members. So we're just saying the governor will appoint the members. It's kind of a technical amendment.
I feel that we should, if we're tasking HTDC to be in charge of this, that their involvement and control over it should be complete. So I agree with this, but I'm just gonna say with reservations at this point.
I will put in the committee report for the next committee to look at who should appoint the members. I didn't have time to really go dig into who's gonna appoint. And yeah, the next committee to look into it.
What about the governor's the salary for the director, the governor? Taking it away from the governor and giving it back to each TDC.
I didn't think about that. Yeah. The next committee can look into that. Yes.
Chair,
That's actually more purview for the next committee because it goes to finance.
Okay, I just wanted to flag this bill for myself, so I'm gonna vote with reservations, specifically because of the declaration of a ocean cluster, whatever that term is. I wanna just research more about what the implications are.
Okay.
Thanks.
Good. Any other comments or concerns? Seeing none, Vice Chair for the vote.
Voting on SB 2907 SD1 HD1, recommendation to pass with amendments. Any other reservations besides Iwamoto, Shimizu, Poi Poi? Thank you. Any others? Any noes? Recommendation adopted.
Okay, next up we have SB 3067 SD1. Chair's recommendation is to pass this unamended. There's no tech amendments. And it's already defective. No, okay, I'll defect the date, HD and the HD1 will defect the date. So it's basically house cleaning, 7/1/3000. Any comments or concerns? Seeing none?
Okay, we're voting on SB 3067 SD1, recommendation to pass with amendments. Any reservations, any noes, recommendation adopted.
Okay, next up we have SB 3053 SD2 relating to natural resources. Chair's recommendation is to pass this out with an HD1. Defect date to 7/1/3000 and put into the committee report that they are requesting 230,000. And that's it.
Okay, we're voting on SB 3053 SD2, recommendation to pass with amendments. Any reservations, any noes, recommendation adopted.
Okay, next up we have SB 2944 SD1. Chair's recommendation is to defect this to 7/1/3000 and tech amendments if needed. That's about it. Seeing any comments or concerns? Seeing none, Vice Chair for the vote.
Recommendation, I'm sorry, voting on SB 2944 SD1, recommendation to pass with amendments. Any reservations, any no,
Sorry,
go ahead.
reservations.
Reservations for, oh my gosh.
I'm so sorry.
No, I just drew a blank on your name. Okay, any other
Oh,
reservations? Okay. Okay, any no's? Seeing none, recommendation adopted.
Okay, thank you very much, members. Next, okay, this one you can vote your conscience, please do. Next, we have SB 2074 SD1 HD1 relating to state facilities. The chair's recommendation, well, first I was gonna, the chair's recommendation is to pass this out with an HD1 or an HD2, sorry. It's already defect dated to 7/1/3000. I'm going to allow I wanna give the stadium authority flexibility. So I'm gonna strike out on page 8, lines 14 to 17. It says, the outdoor advertising device displayed under the paragraph shall be limited to the name of the entity that leases the naming rights of the stadium. So basically, they can like what the Mariners Stadium did, they had the banners of the players, so they can do that. And it's even though if it's facing outside. So this will give them a little bit more flexibility, so when the UH players play, they can have banners of the players on the outside. So and it's only relating to the stadium. Any comments or concerns? Seeing none, Vice Chair for the vote.
We're voting on SB 2074 SD1 HD1, recommendation to pass with amendments. Any reservations? Any no's?
No.
Okay, recommendation adopted, Chair.
Okay, thank you. Next up, we have SB 2596. Chair's recommendation is to pass this out with an HD1. Chair's recommendation is to pass this out with an HD1 with tech amendments and defect date to 7/1/3000 to continue the conversation. I don't know who to put the exemption in. I don't know if we add the exemption, the people will stop testifying and then we're not gonna have any testimony. But I would like the other departments to testify who needs an exemption to this if they need. So any comments or concerns? Yes.
She's be voting with reservations because of all the confusion and yeah.
I agree, no, I understand.
Same here.
Okay,
Reservations for me too.
thank you.
We're
Vice Chair
voting,
for the vote, thank you.
voting on SB 2596 SD1, recommendation to pass with amendments. Noting reservations of Iwamoto, Shimizu and Souza. Any other reservations? Any no's? Recommendation adopted.
Thank you very much, members, for your support. We are adjourned.